It's amazing.
I don't want to know.
Let's see.
I don't want to know about those things.
You do want to know about it. It's amazing.
I don't know if I want to know about tools. I mean, I know about tools.
That's just something you keep in your pocket, so you have all those things. That's all.
But I think I do.
You have one of those?
Okay, now I have an echo that I have to stop.
All right.
Oh, there they are. Okay. No. Oh, whoops. Okay, that was the wrong button too. Oh, I'm just hitting wrong buttons. Like there is no tomorrow. I'm just hitting the wrong buttons. There you go. There's the thing I was supposed to hit. But no, actually, the thingy that's like it looks like a scissor or a plier.
Yep.
Oh man. Okay, then I was old way before now. Man,
now,
I was old when I was a teenager.
Flip it like that.
Yeah, because my dad had like those things.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
a brand called Leatherman.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. And I've been fixing crap around the house, and I keep going back to looking for different tools. I was like, it'd be amazing if I had everything in my pocket. Like I said, middle-aged in here. Yep.
All my tools right here.
Mm-hmm. What did he say?
Aww.
There we go.
Mo, I always love your hair. You know that, right? I'm
Thank you. It's a little lopsided today. I can't get myself, because you're looking at the opposite side. No, that's still the okay. That's the no, turn this way. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know it's not the right way to pull it. Still pulling the wrong side. This side, girl. Oh, Jesus. It's the thing. It's the thing. It's the thing. Sorry.
But it looks nice.
Thank you.
No, it looks fine. That looks fine.
It'll be all right. That's what it's still there. Still there. Okay.
I have all new growth. I usually have my hair done, so I had to take it out to hide the new growth.
Okay, now I understand now. I was like, take it out to hide the new. Got it.
No, I usually have it back.
Yeah, because when you pull it up, you can see how much new growth there is.
Yeah.
So let it hang, it kind of blends. Yeah.
Yep.
Done that.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Andy was having some audio issues there. So I'm like, okay. And tell him where you are, Carl. Carl is in Sam's.
Oh.
Sam's.
I think he's trying to get gas.
Man.
I was talking about Sam's Club before, and I want to go to Sam's Club. So, but there is no Sam's Club here. So,
not at all.
Sorry, I had to hit mute.
That's okay.
So you wouldn't have to hear all the background noise.
You are always in an active mode every time. There is always an active mode.
Moving shaker.
Truly.
Not moving anywhere, important, but still moving.
Hey, moving and shaking is a thing now. You got to move and shake. So I'm not knocking it at all.
Okay.
I think it is very commendable that you're moving and shaking like this. But how is everybody?
I'm recovering.
You well,
I gained quite a bit of weight during the pandemic, but I'm still operating on my pre-pandemic body. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like
in your mind.
In my mind, I am 50 pounds smaller. So I'm around the house doing what I do, being silly, and get on my tippy toes, and I'm dancing on my tippy toes, and my toes was like, girl, no. It's too much weight this time. It's too much weight. It's too much weight. I cannot do that anymore. So my foot has been swollen for 3 days. Today, I wiggle my toes like this. But
I'm sorry.
Being still and down. Stop acting like you ain't put
I
on no
saw
weight. And that you just been sitting and eating the whole time.
Well,
Mm.
no.
Hello.
Hey.
Hi. Sorry I'm late. I tried.
That's okay. I'm glad you're here. I'm going to announce everybody. Hello and welcome to Zubin and Comfort. For those of you who are here, we have a great team, our regular team that is here this evening. And child, we're just going to slowly move into topics. But right now we're talking about Monique. And we just feeling for her right now, as I feel for everybody, including myself, because the pandemic done us all wrong in all kinds of ways. Ways we can't even imagine.
Monique, I learned that lesson a couple of years ago, like a year ago. Went out with my son, he got into basketball, him and his friends are there. And no one told me that I'm 46. I still think I'm 18 when I touch a basketball. I was doing some smooth moves about to impress these 12-year-old kids, and hit one move and lost my balance and fell forward and slid.
Mm-hmm. The move just didn't agree with your body. Although, look,
No,
it used
not at
to
all.
work. Used to work. I know the feeling.
Yeah.
It used to do just fine.
Yeah, I used to be 170. I'm 6'4". I am 100 pounds above that. I just found out.
And it happened like I knew I had gained weight, but I didn't know, but I knew,
Yeah. Same here. I've been skinny my whole life, until I got into my 40s. I started gaining weight, and I never worked out, never did anything, ate what I felt like eating, always stayed super slim. So I want everybody to feel sorry for me because I was unprepared.
Wow.
Oh no!
I'm sitting here. I'm sitting here about to be like, can't relate, cannot relate. Always been skinny.
You're not gonna enjoy my club and feel sorry for me?
I can't. I haven't been skinny since I was like 7 years old. I don't know what that life is like anymore. Like, it's been a couple of decades.
Honey, I've been the opposite of skinny all these decades, and I don't know what that's like either.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for you, Dee. Like, I want to. I can't empathize. I cannot empathize, but I can sympathize.
Mm-hmm.
You can send me some flowers.
Yeah, sudden changes to your body. That must be really hard.
It's very hard. It's very, very hard.
Oh my God, Angelique, when you said that, I thought it was like a gynecological commercial. Sudden changes to your body.
Well, I'm glad you picked up on that. I'm glad you picked up on that.
It was intentional.
I heard no irony.
A woman who has sudden changes to her body monthly. I feel very sorry for you.
Oh, thank you so very much.
I will send me your address. I will send you some flowers and a box of chocolates if you like chocolates.
Thank you.
Thank you. You have my deepest sympathies.
It's how he got into this.
We believe for you.
The worst part about being over here is that when you step on a scale, it's in kilos. And even though I've been here for almost 19 years, I step on the scale, I'm looking at it, I see the number, but I need to Google it to see exactly what this means. And so that time between saying 123 and
you feel real good, don't you?
And then saying 271.
Yeah. So listen, and Dee, you and I are about the same weight. But when I lived in Korea and I went like to the doctor's office or whatever, they, you have to weigh yourself and they have to like keep track of all that stuff. And you get on and you see that 100 and it's like, ooh, 100. And then it's like kilograms. Got it.
Yeah.
Yep. 100 and what? Never mind. I don't need to know. Just write it down. Just write it down.
Just write it down. And don't keep looking me up and down either.
Yeah.
Why is Kevin Stewart in the chat but not here?
He should be. But you know what? Let's ask him. Well, no,
Kevin Stewart.
Kevin Stewart
says
why
his
aren't
news
you
remind
here
you
in the chat?
First of all, know what, Angelique, that is a great question. Seeing as how last time he got on me, so I need to know why is he not in here? What's going on? What is he doing?
I mean, he does say his knees remind, he's at work, okay. His knees remind him
Okay.
he's now 40 and 200 plus, and that occasional pop in his hip area.
Oh. And it's so disrespectful.
Stop
You're
that
right.
twerking. That's what that's supposed. That's I mean,
It's
stop
so
twerking.
annoying.
That's what that means, Kev.
I feel nervous that he's supposed to be saving people's life, and his hip is clicking like an old toy. I need
And it is hard work. It's hard work
He just
saving
holds
people.
the hose. He just holds the hose. That's all. He just holds the hose.
that
Yeah,
hose,
he
that hose is heavy. That hose is heavy. You gotta. That's not just like a hose that that you water your front lawn. That's
Mm.
Yeah.
True.
Or
Stop
someone's
Yeah.
got to drive the truck,
Yeah.
It's always-
The
wow.
back of the truck. That's right. Someone's got to steer that back when it swings out. He gonna swing it back.
Mhm.
That's what he does.
They don't have Kev do any of the big stuff. He does all the cooking, does all the cleaning, and he drives.
Ooh.
He's a chauffeur.
Oh.
He said, "I got
Oh.
hose."
Oh.
I don't know if that's supposed to.
Creepy nuts. Of
I don't
course.
want to interpret that, but we can interpret it gynecologically.
My hair just will not.
Looks amazing.
No,
Oh
I just
my
am frustrated.
God.
Thank you.
But it's so glad to
Mm.
see you all, and it's like it's sunny over
it does
here.
look
It is.
amazing.
It is finally after 7 p.m. and the sun is still up. So
Oh,
that's a plus here. I know y'all are
It's
spoiled
a
with that
big
kind of
deal here.
stuff. But
Yep.
How are we spoiled?
well, I mean, I think in New York, it would still be like, well, it just
Do you
got
not-
this way like a week or so ago. I think about a week or so
Oh.
ago.
Do you not do daylight saving time?
Yeah, we do. We
You
need it.
do?
Yeah.
Oh.
We need it.
We need it. We have to.
We need it bad. During December, we get about 3 hours of daylight a day.
Yeah.
Wow.
oh.
Yeah.
I
I
heard
just-
It's
that
like-
the
Yeah.
US is. I heard that the US is like they recently passed a bill. It's not like law
Mhm.
yet, but they're moving towards permanent DST.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I really hope Canada doesn't do the same because I would rather stay in EST personally because in December, if we're in DST all the time, then December is like it's going to be dark at 9 a.m.
Yep.
And I would
We
rather
have
wake
dark
up
at
with
9
some
a.m.
sun.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
We have dark at 4 p.m.
Even before
Well,
that.
we do. We
have
have
dark
the
at
4
2.
p.m.
4 o'clock. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, we
Okay.
have the 4 p.m. darkness in the winter. And
Yeah.
so some people are like, yeah, let's stay in DST all the time so that at least, yeah, we'll get to work in the dark, but there will be some sunlight when we leave work and like when our kids leave school. I'm like, no, it'll still be dark when you leave work because why? You work till 7. You work till 6.
Yeah.
You work till 5. You don't work till 4.
Mhm.
So I would rather get to work and see some sun, you know what I mean? Like before I go in the building rather than darkness, but
Mm.
I don't make the
Yeah,
laws.
we're about 9:30 around November, December. 9:30 is when we actually have bright sun, actual sun. And then it
Yeah.
goes down maybe 1:32.
Yeah.
That's
So
sad.
at lunch,
the-
people have to go outside because when I first moved here, I thought it was cool because it's like Alaska. And so I was like, this is cool, to experience this. Around November, I started getting paranoid. I sat alone in my 4-corner room staring at candles.
Everyone's like, oh, candles are so music. Oh, yeah, we have candles. Put up the
Yeah,
candles.
mood
Yeah, that's
lighting.
cute for a while. Ain't cute forever.
Yeah.
Ain't
But,
cute
but
forever.
once you adjust yourself to it, then you just know it's going to happen. And I find that a lot of us who moved here have already adjusted to it, but the people from here complain about it more than we do.
This is
Yeah.
so true.
That's
So
what
true.
that's what always happens because for you chose to live there. They didn't choose to live there in their
It's
minds.
been happening their whole lives.
I mean, in their minds, it's
Mhm.
like I didn't
Yeah.
choose this. Why is it like
They could
this?
choose to go somewhere else then.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying you're wrong. I'm
Yeah.
not saying you're wrong. I think that's sort of the psychology of it, right? Like that
Yes,
you
sir.
made I assume you went there as an adult.
Mhm.
So you moved there as an adult knowing that it was going to be like this and deciding, okay, well, this is how it is. But there's like a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't live in my hometown either, but there's a lot of stuff about Canada that I'm just like, this is how it is. But Canadian-born people are like, this is ridiculous. Like when we lose power for like a few minutes, I'm like, oh, that's really unusual. And then it comes back and I'm like, sweet. And people are like really angry about that. But in Jamaica, that's commonplace. And it would be like for half the day sometimes and the whole day sometimes. So I'm like, I'll take 5 minutes of no power if it means I don't have to work.
Hey,
well, same.
That's it.
Washroom break, take a walk outside if it's nice.
I miss those days being in the office and the power goes out, like there's a wreck or something, everybody's just up kicking it. Y'all paying us to kick it at this point. We just up talking over the cubicles, like across the way, talking to each other, enjoying life. Like, oh, the power went down. Yes.
Nothing we can do. I guess if you like your coworkers, that's good.
Oh yeah, I did. I liked.
Whitney, I saw that face because you understand.
Like
Whitney,
my coworkers.
Whitney's face immediately went.
It sucks to have to be forced to talk to people you don't like. Now y'all have to. Y'all want to talk to me? No. Yeah, I like my coworkers. We used to have a great team.
I like a couple of my coworkers.
Has to.
Yeah,
used to have a great team.
Used to have a good team.
Yeah, we did.
Until. Well, y'all.
Life.
Well, y'all, it has been a most active couple of weeks. You know, time change, you know, so the days a little bit longer. I feel especially happy about this, like we were just talking about, because there were days I would go to work and it was dark, and I would come out of work and it was dark. So, and it really sucked. So now I just have a little bit more light. It's just the so daylight saving time was a plus. And then we felt, well, this is going to be a great week. Oh, maybe I'll watch the Oscars. Now, I did not, because here it came on at midnight and I wasn't trying to hang. So I said, oh, I'll wait till morning and I'll see the dresses and I'll see this and I'll see who won this and won that. Well, lo and behold, when I wake up, the information was just abound of, I guess they call it the slap. And so I watched it. The world. And I watched and I was like, oh. And I think like everybody else, because as I read, I was reading stuff all week long. Even the people in the audience that really thought it was a skit, it was something that they planned and all this other stuff, until they were like, oh, no, ooh, wait.
We were all Lupita in that moment. We were all like,
yeah.
She's like, is this funny? I don't know. This is really dramatic. What's going on?
Yes. Because it was like, what? And then you don't know what emotion to have, because it's like, oh, I'm not sure. And then it was real. And then all, you know, I mean, Twitter was just twitting, and Facebook and Insta, everybody was there. They were twitting. I don't know what it is. Twittering, whatever. And tweet.
I liked it though. I like Twitter. They were twittering. I like it.
And I mean, like I said, I went through reading all the stuff. Of course, you know, had my own opinion. All of it kind of clumped in there. I most so waited, as maybe a couple of y'all did, to wait to hear Here's the Thing, because I wanted to hear that. And I did. And I was like, okay, I can see all that. Okay. But I would like to know in brief, because I know we could go on forever with this. So I don't want this to take up the majority of our time, because it does not have to, because it took up the whole week this week on every piece of news piece you could possibly find and still taking up stuff. I was waiting to find out who won. Was it best music? I think it was, for something, or I didn't learn any of that. I had to actually go in and read about it, because it was never on any kind of thing, because they were too busy talking about the slap. But I am going to start. Where is he? Okay, no, see, Kev, I was going to start with you, because you said I'm gonna try to come in there, but I'm at work. But now you're not even here, so you put your comment down there of how you felt about it, and everybody else who's ever here put their comment. But I want to start with Dee briefly.
Okay.
trying to look at him at the same time. Everybody's trying to look.
Staying calm, holding the table.
I got text messages, woke up to it. First and foremost, I think it's important that we recognize that both people involved are rich, very rich. And some of this kind of has that, like the peasants talking about the court. You know, did you hear what happened in the King's Court the other day and all this kind of stuff?
Not
so both
peasants.
of them will be fine.
Ouch.
Yeah, but both of them will be fine no matter what. The biggest thing I took out of it is the lack of empathy for Chris Rock, who actually got assaulted on TV. And what I got out of that, irregardless of what people thought about it or whatever, was just how desensitized people are to Black pain and Black struggle. Because if that had been Billy Crystal, they'd be like, how you doing, Billy? What about Billy's feelings?
He would have been arrested.
Yeah,
he would have been arrested.
Billy is now in Hawaii thinking about it. He still can't touch his face where he got slapped, you know, whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I really felt that even people who meant well left out that a 57-year-old man, like put that together, a 57-year-old man, that means he hasn't been to fight in about 30 years. So this is just not a part of his life. Chris Rock is 10 years older than me. I am not throwing fists at anybody, period. It's not something that I think is a viable option. So I'll be confused if someone had the audacity to hit me. So I think that part really bothered me. The other part too is that fame is a hell of a drug. Will Smith was sitting there and everybody behind him was Oscar winners. He was sitting on the front row, Oscar winners behind him. He's been so famous for so long that he thought that it was an okay thing to respond like this on live broadcast television because he thought that his situation was such a big deal. And the other part too is that Jada, I don't watch her stuff. I don't do any of this. I cannot stand hearing about Kanye and Kim or any of these things. Famous people's personal lives mean nothing to me in any way, shape, or form. And the thing about Jada is that she puts her business out all the time. If I was sitting in the audience and my wife was talked about because she had shaved her head and no one knows who she is or barely knows who she is, that's an unacceptable thing for that person to do. But I'm also not in ownership of my wife, so I don't get to decide how to respond. Now, if someone tries to put their hands on my wife, I'll respond accordingly. But when it comes to these things, this concept of ownership with women, which Maya Angelou perfectly stated when she talked about when she got molested by her mother's brother, she told her brother, who told adults, which he should have done, they arrested the guy, took him to trial, he was found guilty. And that night after he was found guilty, he was dropped off at her grandmother's house who like ran booze or something like that. And her uncles killed the dude and made him disappear. She didn't speak for years after that because she thought her words killed a human being. And when she did get older and think about it, she realized that her uncles didn't kill because they were worried about her well-being, but their male toxic egos were offended that someone would touch someone with their blood. So she was like, they weren't thinking about me or the fact that I, as a 6-year-old, had to carry years of weight of thinking I killed a human being. So when it comes to protecting women and Black women, whatever, I'm 6'4", 200 some pounds. I can hit people, hurt people, all this kind of stuff, but I'm not going to do it based off of how I feel because I was raised in violence and this is the only way I can express myself. So that in itself, the defending Black women, and then Chris Rock joking an actress about something that actors do. Again, if you working as an office manager and Chris Rock's joking you about your hair, he might want to get to know who you are. So all of those things at the end of the day, I think that the amount of time put into it showed me how many people approve violence and see violence as a form of entertainment, and how many people have this antiquated concept that we have a right to go and decide what we should do to defend you all. That's all.
I've seen it differently. I've seen, like you're saying, that you've seen a lot more people who are like seeing it as entertainment and justifying the slap and things like that. Most of what I've been seeing is a whole lot of violence is never the answer. Will should have been arrested. He should have been removed. I've seen empathy for Chris on my feeds. So maybe it has something to do with like, I don't know who you follow or I don't know. But my thing when I first heard about it was that what really sucks is that the offense was caused to Jada, but we're talking about Will and Chris. And someone said that basically Will made it about himself, and I think he did. And people were talking about things he said in his book, which I haven't read, and they were talking about Jada's alopecia, which I didn't know about, and they were talking about, you know, people shouldn't be afraid to get slapped at work, unless I guess you're a fighter. And that opened up the conversation about comedians and like, should a comedian be afraid when they go on stage? And my thing is, I don't enjoy comedy that punches down. And I don't enjoy comedy that like makes fun of something that the person can't control. So I have empathy for Chris, because if that had been me, I would have cried and I would have gone home immediately. And the fact that he stayed on that stage, stunned as he was, messing up the words and all of that stuff, and he like carried the show on, like that's impressive. That wouldn't have been me. I would have been like, I'm going home. I would have not had any, the next award. I would have walked off that stage. I would have been like tears flowing without like control. So the fact that he was able to handle that is amazing. And I don't think Will should have slapped him. I don't think it was an appropriate level of response. Like the joke was offensive to Jada and it was not funny. Just sort of like objectively speaking, I didn't think it was very funny, but that's like here, a bad joke is like here, an offensive joke is like here, and then I'm going to get up on the stage and slap you is like here in levels of response. But I also gotta say, I was kind of glad that Jada got that moment, except that after that moment, it was no longer about Jada. Right? Like as soon as it happened, it wasn't about her. But when I looked at her face, she looked fine. Like she looked almost like, yeah, keep my name out your mouth. But other than that, I'm like, I mean, it looks to me like they're going to deal with it because they're, like you said, rich. And Chris decided not to press charges. But also, Will has resigned from the Academy, apparently, according to the news. Mm-hmm. So he's no longer a member of the Academy of Motion Picture and the Arts and Sciences. I don't know what the full thing is. But anyway, he's no longer a member of the Academy. And he's like, I'm willing to accept whatever other consequences come. The Oscars are like, we will examine how to punish him. And I think...
How do you punish him, though? That's the one thing.
Well, got his Oscar.
That's the only thing they could do is either make him resign, which he's already chosen to do, fine him money, which would probably not be much of a punishment, but whatever, or take his Oscar away. But then I suspect that if they do that, if they take his Oscar, that opens up a whole can of worms about all the other people who have assaulted and whatever, and they've managed to keep their Oscar. Jim Carrey is the one who people are talking about kind of like right now about how when he went on stage and like fully like made out with Alicia Silverstone. She was 19, he was 35. She did not consent to that. That's literally sexual assault. Went on to accept the Oscar and no one said boo. And then he comes on TV and is like, it's disgusting. I'm sickened. No one should ever, to walk on stage and assault someone. It's never okay. and he's, I mean, on the one hand, he's right. But on the other hand, he's a hypocrite because he did the same thing and got away with it because of when the time it, what was happening at that time, things like that were accepted socially. Plus he's a white man, et cetera, et cetera. So my thing is like, I wouldn't take the Oscar because I mean, y'all already voted for him. He won, like that's one thing, but him resigning, if he pays restitution maybe to Chris, but I think it'll be between them ultimately.
Yeah.
I don't think a slap was an appropriate response, but also, I don't know. I don't care as much.
No.
It's not violence is not the answer that I would have chosen. But Will did. And now they're dealing with the consequences of that. And I hope Chris is okay, because he's had shows since. I mean, financially, we know he's fine, right? Because all of his shows have sold out since then, from now until who knows when. So financially, we know he's okay, but he still hasn't spoken about it. He's like, I'm still processing what happened. Apparently, he was bullied a lot when he was a kid. He got beat up a lot. So maybe some of that is being triggered. I don't really know. Yeah. It's interesting. The conversation about comedians, though, is one that I'm interested to see how that plays out. But what I have seen is other comedians continuing to make fun of Jada because it makes Will angry, or because it made Will angry. Oh, puppy. No.
Izzy.
He said, enough of this. Let's look at the puppy.
Carl, are you available? Hey, Z.
Sorry.
I don't think she can hear you.
Wave.
No.
Oh,
okay.
No.
Whitney, you sitting there all quiet and calm. Give us your brief synopsis of how you feel, what your thing is about this whole little thing. See, Z is distracting us with the dog.
Remember to put it on his chest. She's going to take him out for a little bit. You can walk a little bit with him. Are you going to take him over? Okay. All right.
Whitney.
Okay. So I didn't watch. I heard about it secondhand, but it was so shocking to hear it, what happened. But definitely, I didn't know that Jada had
alopecia.
But whenever I saw the clips, where at first Will was kind of like smiling, laughing, or whatever, and then it somehow escalated to he comes on stage and he's slapping him. So I guess he thought that was the best way to defend her honor or whatever, but I don't know. I really don't have much to add to it. I just pretty much have toned out all of the talk about the slap.
Can I tell you something wild that I heard online? That some people think that Will is a Scientologist, and that in Scientology, a slap, like an open hand slap, is an acceptable way to express your displeasure with another Scientologist, and that they have like sessions where they do that or something like that. But basically just the theory that Will Smith is a Scientologist and that the slap was a Scientology thing of saying to Chris that
I've
this
heard
is
that
not
he was a
okay.
Scientologist before, though. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've definitely heard that before.
Yes,
Yeah,
I did
but
actually.
I don't know that Chris is a Scientologist, so I don't know.
But you know what?
Chris is?
But no, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. I don't think he is. I don't have any idea.
It's assault and battery. I don't care how hard you slap or how soft you practiced it. I practiced this slap because I can give
millions
it to
of witnesses.
somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes, in front of millions of people.
But the fact that Chris chose not to press charges, to me, meant okay, it's between the two of them now.
Also, Will's worth like $500 million. And Chris has always talked about how much he thinks about money. I wouldn't be surprised as he was getting slapped. He was like, that's worth about 70 million right there.
Ka-ching. No.
You don't have to give me 30 million to go on Oprah with you real quick so we can hug it out. But once I get that 100 million, I think I'll feel a lot better.
I'll talk about it. Okay, Carl. You said after Whitney. You ready? I will go over to Mo. Because I see Mo want to say something.
I should not say.
Oh no! Oh, then you're gonna be last. Just for how you said that, I'm gonna wait. The tone, even. Ooh, I love that one. But, go ahead, Carl.
I'm sorry. I think everybody else summed it up perfectly. I had several because I didn't know about it until Kevin sent me the clip later on. It's like I had actually gotten out and hung out with my cousin and a friend of mine, and we had started, looking at the Oscars, but then I left and got home and wasn't thinking anything about it. And it wasn't until later on that night that Kev sent me the video of what happened, and there was no context, and I just saw, as I say, the slap that rocked the world. But it's just like I have different. I initially had different thoughts on it because I've listened to Kev and Angel talked about it. I listened to Tony and his group talk about it, and yeah, I've listened to other people, and I'm trying to think about me and my wife talked about it, but there's a lot of different things. Number one, I don't think a lot of people just like, oh, you can't make jokes anymore. Whatever happened, I don't think it was about just that one joke. It's like it was not just he heard that joke and he couldn't take the jokes or whatever. I think it had to do more than just that one joke. Whatever he did. I also agree that whatever his intention was to protect Jada or whatever, that immediately it turned into about him as opposed to about Jada. I've heard a lot of things in defense of Will that to me kind of don't make sense. It was like, oh, he's protecting Black women's hair and they brought up, well, Chris made a documentary about Black women's hair. And it's a thing of like, well, his joke was not a thing targeting Black women. He was making a joke to, seemed like he was making a joke about what he thought was a friend, as I want to say Regina Hall made a joke earlier in the evening about Will being single. It's like that was at the start of the Oscars. And then like she proceeds to do a joke to where she's like, like I guess it's like some sexual harassment joke, whatever. It's like, but and Amy Schumer was hitting people a lot harder. Some jokes during the Oscars. And I think that a lot of people have co-opted the incident with their own agendas and push that to try to justify what happened. I also saw, I know somebody posted this video and I've seen some of it of like, well, if you feel sorry for what happened to Chris, then look at this video. And it was something a decade ago about him being okay with Louis C.K. saying the N-word. And I'm like, that's not, it's like, what, it's like, so because you didn't like the way that he handled this situation, you're saying that it's okay that he got slapped now? And I'm like, I would hate to think that somebody would be okay with me being assaulted because I didn't do something the way that they thought I should have handled it. And it is a thing of, a lot of people say it's like, well, you got to be, it's a juvenile mindset of, it's like, oh, just because you said something, then that justifies somebody hitting you. And it also, and I also think it's funny that you hear this from a lot of people who are not at the level, nobody at the level of Will and Chris are saying anything like that. Because they have something to lose. It's like they have, I want to say risen above, because nobody should be just going around smacking somebody just because somebody said something that you didn't like. But it's sad because, and no matter, to me, no matter where you fall on it, even according to Will's own standards, It's like, not to mine, whatever. Even to his own standards, Will did wrong. That's not who he, as he was saying, who he, strived to be. That's is like, so whether you think, well, he was protecting black women, is like he said that he messed up. So, that's it. And I don't know. There's just so many things that people are adding to it that doesn't make sense. And some people keep saying, well, how come he didn't slap August? I'm like, this has nothing to do with August. Like, the people keep adding things to the conversation that has nothing to do with what actually happened. And it's frustrating. But yeah.
Can I interject one thing?
Yeah.
Do you remember the promo for G.I. Jane back in '97?
No, I do not. I remember the movie, but I don't remember caring about,
I think it started.
Do you remember
it started when she was shaving her head. She was like,
that's
blah,
the only
blah,
thing
blah,
I
blah,
remember about it.
and that's all I remember, her shaving her head and then
and she
getting
would
on
go like on
fatigues
Today's
and...
show and they'd be like, so you shaved your head. And that's all I remember about this whole movie. So his reference point to an actor kind of makes sense. No one knows. Maybe she's going to be in the next Matrix movie. Who cares? Yeah. No, I was just listening to you on that one, and I was wondering how many people remember that movie. I don't remember anything about the movie but her shaving her head. That's it.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's not a, like, people just remember, and that's another thing, as somebody else brought up. Like, it was also like a bad joke. Like, I think if the joke would have been better, it's like, because as a lot of comedians point out, a lot of people point out, even if it's like, because there are some jokes that somebody will say that will make you groan, but at the same time you will laugh because it was just so good. It's like, if a joke is good enough, if the comedian is creative enough, it will get you over that hump. But
was that joke funny enough though? Was that joke good enough? Because I don't think I think it was a throwaway ad lib that he thought of in the moment. Bald head, G.I. Jane 2, haha, moving on. Apparently the whole audience groaned and he was like, hey, come on, I'm just a harmless joke. And then, the proceedings proceeded.
But no,
I didn't think that joke was worth it, but I don't think he could have foreseen that would have been the reaction.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's like the joke was nothing. It's like it was an improv. It was, he said it just threw that out there because you see how quick he threw it in, because he clearly stopped what he was supposed to say, threw that out there, because it's another thing of, if Will hadn't done that, would anybody be like, oh yeah, you remember that great G.I. Jane joke? It's like, no, it's like it was not worth mentioning. Yeah, like I said,
people would have forgotten about it for sure.
Yeah. It was,
and we were talking about the whole thing. They would just would.
Yeah. There was a lot of co-opting to justify something that is assault.
Yeah. Well, I will say I agree with you, Carl, that a lot of people have been bringing in all sorts of things that are not relevant to what happened to justify whatever their opinion is, whether it is to justify assault or to justify or to condemn the assault. There's like a lot of like stuff that I don't think is relevant. And like in the heat of the moment, I was like, yeah, slap him, because he spoke out of pocket. But then I was like, damn, at the Oscars in mixed company. And then I was like, but they don't care. And then I thought, how does Jada feel? And then I thought, man, you really shouldn't have to be afraid to get slapped at work. And then I thought, but if that was my wife, I would want to slap him. And then I thought, they're rich, they'll be fine. And then other comedians were making fun of Jada. And I'm like, now those comedians are trash. Because in the moment, I don't think, thinking about it now, days later, I don't think Chris was being malicious. I don't think it was a malicious choice to like dig at her hair. I don't even think it was really about her hair, really. Like it was just, so G.I. Jane, right? But also he made this whole film about women's hair. And so that gets brought into it because it's like, you should kind of know better than to like go after her looks, because normally you go after their work. Like people are, that's what I thought. But so anyway, you can see my opinion goes like this on the issue.
Yeah.
My personal take is it's kind of over. But the people who are like making fun of Jada more and calling her like a bald-headed B word and all of this stuff, I'm like, what's the point of that? Like you're literally now worse than Chris. Like, you know, if we say Chris's joke was bad, it was just not a good joke. But now a lot of these comedians who are like attacking Jada, let's say attacking, to me, that's malicious. That's like, I'm deliberately now going to insult you. Oh, you think, oh, you can't take a joke. Oh, you say, keep your wife's name out of my mouth. Oh, and I'm like, that's
malicious and that's evil.
Yeah, that's gross to me. But like the actual incident, I'm like, it's over.
Yeah.
But I want to hear what Mo has to say.
Mo.
She's been very patient.
Josh, no. I say no of the words. Nah.
We want all the color. We want all the Fruit Loops in the bowl. Go ahead, baby.
Monique is the one I am mostly calm most of the time. You go after someone I love. Oh, you think it's a game? Well, me personally, I am that person. So it's hard for me. I should not hit you. You know what? I shouldn't have hit you. I was so, you know what? I shouldn't have did it. But I am also the person that if you, before I defend me, I'll defend someone I love. You know what I mean? So I would be the pot calling the kettle black if I said anything about Will, because I have done, you know what? And sometimes, like, I understand, I don't think he necessarily, like, snapped, because I see a lot of people like, he snapped. I'm like, no, I think he made a conscious decision to walk up there and slap the black off that man on national TV. He made that conscious decision. He's just going to have to suffer the repercussions of his actions, which happens. You get whatever the repercussions of your decision are the repercussions. It's just whether or not it was worth it for you. If it was worth it for you to give him $2 million and but you got to slap him on national TV, then okay, if it was worth it to you. Y'all know the ratchet of the group. I don't know why y'all asked me. Why?
But it's like you said, he's gonna deal with the consequences.
Yeah.
He's gonna deal with the consequences. Yeah. There are situations where
we got the Wayne Brady of the group.
Yeah.
Is she the Wayne Brady? I thought Wayne Brady was not violent.
No,
you didn't see the Chappelle?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Is Wayne Brady gonna have to kill a bitch?
Yes, that's the one.
I hate to say it. I'm embarrassed a little bit, but I am that person that will be like, oh, so you think
Good Lord.
that it's okay. It's not.
Kevin in the comments weighed in.
I know.
Kevin said, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Call me devil's advocate, but I think the pot boiling over puts some of that weight back on Jada. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I look at it like temporary insanity or a crime of passion. Okay.
No, there's more.
I did not like.
If there hadn't been so much bad press over the last couple of years, he wouldn't have had that reaction. I really don't think he would have. He was wrong.
I'm not blaming Jada 1 second of the day.
I don't like that. I don't like when
she does not have a hand up Will Smith's ass telling him, go punch that man.
He's a grown man. That grown man made a decision 52. For himself.
Mm-hmm.
Not 22, 52.
Yeah.
Not even 32.
I cannot. And the people I see are all like, well, if Jada didn't, what Jada do? Jada sat there and laughed like everybody else. He the one decided to get his hind part up.
Jada didn't laugh. Jada said,
well, no, I'm saying like afterwards, she laughed at the jokes after the thing. Like she didn't was like, yeah, that's my man. You bet. Like she didn't do it. She sat there after everything situated. Like
Yeah.
That's been like what I've been seeing mostly. It's like it's Jada's fault, and I'm like,
I think they've been famous too long.
That ain't my fault.
Hey.
I think they've been famous too long.
And
Every
they
single
didn't do the
person that gets to a
childhood.
certain level starts doing stuff like jumping on Oprah's couch, talking to Ed Bradley about, I think it's great to have boys spend the night in my bed.
Well, so here's the thing. I
when
feel
you get
like
to a certain level,
I feel like if you're famous as a child, you will either lose your mind as a child because you're a child and like there's all this stuff coming at you. So like Drew Barrymore, for example, and like Britney Spears and Amanda Bynes and all these people. Or you survive that, you somehow manage, or you cope, let me say that. And then as an adult now, then that's when it happens. Like it happens at some point, like it either happens in childhood or it happens when you're adult, like you're an adult, when it's sort of like it all just gets too much for one human to handle. And I don't know that he's snapped. I don't think he's snapped, but I do think he's
been wearing
unraveling.
that mask too long to snap.
He's unraveling.
He's been wearing that mask too long to snap. I think the thing is when you're that famous, those decisions that you and I would think of sitting on the front row of the Oscars, how does this look? Other people are eating off of me. I don't need, I represent more than just myself. Those things that go through an adult brain work when you aren't accustomed to everyone staring at you for the last 30 years. And, like every single one of us knows what is the equivalent of a famous person, the CEO at your job, that everybody changes their demeanor when they get around them. They thought all their jokes were amazing. People are eating off of them. And so what you end up doing after a while is you start believing your own hype. That's the whole thing with like Kanye, that Kanye is 3 years younger than me. I don't care. I don't care if he has a diagnosis. I don't care about this. He's been famous too long and he gets away with stuff that no one else. Now people are talking about Will saw his mom get hit by his dad and he was now reacting to that type of stuff. I got abused as a child. My parents were killed in a car accident. If based off of that logic, I should be a mass murderer and all of y'all should be like, well, he was orphaned at 6 and then he was abused as a child. So you don't worry about the 67 people he killed.
I mean, if you were white, that is what people would be saying.
Exactly.
That's so true.
That is true.
And then Bette Midler and Judd Apatow getting in this thing. Someone said the greatest thing on Twitter. They said, white people, this is not for you. What y'all need to be worrying about is January 6th before you start talking about violence.
I mean, the entire history of whiteness is violence.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely.
That's the history.
Some of these people who are calling on Biden to send more weapons to Ukraine are like, violence is never the answer. Okay, outsource your violence. Outsource the violence to the police and the military, and then you can be like, see, I don't.
But I watched most of the whole week. I didn't talk so much about it, but everyone else was talking to me as if, but I heard all the stories like what Dee said regarding, his childhood and the abuse, and he was in fight or flight all the time and he never reacted. And then he had to go in and these last 3 to 4, 5 years, I guess, for him, he's gone through his own little stuff, of his exposing of himself and coming to his realization of his younger self and all that other but when I saw it, the minute I saw the slap, without knowing why the slap happened, but saying, you are on TV in front of everybody, walking up to this man and going, poof, and walking back like it was
nothing.
Stop it.
People every day.
And then walking back like it was nothing. Like this is and I was like, whoa, where are the securities? Where's security? That was the first thing I thought, security. But then I thought, Chris Rock is from Brooklyn. That jaw has lived a long time. And I was glad he didn't hit the ground. He took it.
He didn't even touch his face.
Yeah. And he was it was a shock.
did
His
such a
hands were
good job.
behind his back until it happened, and it was literally a shock. I don't think
Mhm.
and I thought to myself, any other person would have, the blood would have just fell from their head to their feet. They would have been on the ground. This man had the capacity to hold himself right there. The dignity.
He was leaning forward too. When Will was walking towards him, he had like, there's no way he knew that a slap was coming, because he was like,
what?
sucker
punch. It was a sucker slap.
It was a sucker slap, sucker punch, whatever it was. But he had no clue, never thought that was ever going to happen. Not to say that it probably has never happened to him before, but he was probably prepared for something like this on this stage. No.
Yeah.
And it happened. He composed himself really well. Handled everything, really did the whole award. I thought, now this is how bad it was. I thought Chris was the host of the whole show. And then all of a sudden they started showing Amy Schumer. Said, what is she there for? And I'm like, oh, there were other hosts.
And Wanda Sykes too.
He was only given that award.
Regina King.
Yes, it was Regina King, Amy Schumer, and
was it Regina King?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, the great.
Not Regina Hall? Oh.
Regina Hall.
Regina King.
It's Regina King.
Regina King.
Oh, okay.
No,
Amy.
I'm not going to pretend.
I'm thinking it was Regina Hall because she's the comedy person.
It's Regina Hall.
Okay,
it was Hall.
What'd you say?
That Regina is. I only see Regina King.
Oh, okay.
I was saying Regina Hall because they usually try to find comedians.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. But I was like,
and she's the one who made the joke about the open marriage and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, and then, but my mind was saying, wow, assault. All those witnesses, wow. And how pompous, that rich pompous look he had walking back to his seat. Now, I don't
like
condone
a peacock.
I don't condone what he did,
Strutting.
but I understand. I don't condone what he did, but I understand. However, I still don't condone what he did, because my thing is, like Dee said, we would have the composure to sit there and really evaluate everything that we would have to think about before
I think he did that.
Even the contentment of going up there, to having even the gall to go up there to slap some man or someone.
None of us knows what it's like to be as famous as Will Smith.
Exactly.
I can tell you one thing. Will Smith is like 6'1", right?
Right.
I can tell you that there is a difference, because I was listening to you, Monique, when you were talking about this. I'm 6'4", and the way that I move in the world as a black man.
He looks 6'7" and 6'8". I'm telling you, the boy looks much bigger. Let me tell you something. No, I want to tell him, just be quiet. I have been with you before. Let me tell you how D roll. He's sitting here talking about 6'4". I could have sworn the man was at least 6'8". Him just sitting there, okay? He holds himself so. Yeah, it's just
the world. But the world
that's
sees
only
me
how
as a
he holds
threat.
himself, and his appearance like that gives people this like, oh, and they step back.
So I'm gonna be on Dee's side a little bit, that it's what other people see, right?
Yes, that's what I said. Other people see,
and we're aware of that. When you're above 6 feet, black man, you are aware of how these things can do. If I were to smack somebody here in Stockholm, it'd be about 50 police cars showing up. I'd be in jail, all this type of stuff. Those things he knew in West Philadelphia, but 30 years of living in LA, having your wife run a TV show out of your bedroom or whatever the heck it is, those things after a while. And the basic premise of this is that the assumption that people keep talking about is that everybody knew she had alopecia, which every single person here said they did. But I ain't watching no red table talks or whatever it's called. I don't care about hearing about their personal life. I, in no way, shape, or form, would be up to date with this. But when you're that famous, you assume everything is about you. But I just want to say one thing with what Monique said when it comes to responding to that. I used to be like you. When I was in college, my friends' parents, my female friends' parents would call me up and ask me to go check on their daughters. I could spend the night at their house. And I grew up really, really religious, Seventh-day Adventist. So no one could spend the night at people's houses, all this kind of stuff. I could, because I was super protected. as I got older, I found out that there are consequences to being super protective that come with it. Because you don't tell that one dude that will go there and do something because you don't want him to get in trouble. So one of my friends, who's one of my closest friends in this world, she was getting domestically abused. And I didn't know until maybe 2-3 years ago. And I was like, why didn't you tell me? And she was like, well, you would have done something. My best friend was murdered by the father of her child, and he killed her sister, my little sister as well, at 99. I found out in 2018 that he had put his hands on her, but she chose to keep that information from me because she knew I would have put hands on him. And what I did was let go of the idea that I can protect people because I wasn't protecting people because they knew I'd protect them. So those concepts are things that as you get older, you start to understand. I was 24 when my best friend got murdered. You know, I didn't have the brain that I do now. I was just walking around thinking this is my way of expressing love. But when you start to put that in context of someone who's 52, who has had security for the last 30 years, what do you really need to do? If you want to show power to Chris Rock and show him that you're the man, he could have raised his finger. One of the people that ran over to him in the middle of, while Chris Rock is talking, said, my wife has alopecia. Tell him to apologize now. Mm-hmm. Chris would have got something in his ear on the teleprompter. Chris would have been, and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I just wanted to say I apologize, Jada. I did not know you had alopecia. I was just joking about G.I. Jane, thought you were doing a role. Done. That right there would have sucked the air out of the room. And that would have been more powerful than walking up and physically putting your hands on someone who's smaller than you. So from that perspective,
I just ain't got the power Will and Jada got, so I got
Hey, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you, but I'm saying that there are consequences to even being you, being you, and trying to be the person to handle the situation. Now they're like, well, we can't tell Monique.
Right. No, because she got a razor blade in the mouth. What happens is people tell me and they don't expect me to react the way I'm going to react. You know what I mean? Like, there could be an altercation and everybody is caught. And Monique did what? I absolutely did do it again. I hate to be. No, I don't hate to be. I am very much so. Like, there's been a lot of times where I held my tongue and I took a lot of stuff where looking back, I'm like, you know what? I should have got her. She should have got it too. I should have got her. I most definitely should have got her. It took me a long time to stand up for people, for myself and for people. So once I did, I done stood up now. And so it's going to be kind of hard for me to sit
just
back
gonna be
down.
Standing.
Stood up on their neck.
You're going to be hey. Well, I am glad we have discussed this and
says more just like slapping people.
Yes, and talked about Monique. You know, we have cleansed ourselves with Monique slapping folk. Now we know who to call.
No, listen.
I will be secondary. No, but Monique, I will be right behind you because I have a friend of mine. She's been on here before. I have had to stop her from tearing arms and limbs off of folk, especially because there's official people and we don't want to go to jail. None of us are good in orange every day. She got kids, you know, that kind of thing happening. We couldn't be rolling like that. I literally, we were both administrators. We were at the administrative office. One of the secretaries said some stupidness while we were walking out the office. I heard it. I went, uh-oh. And I turned. My girl was already halfway down the hall. Her candy heels were off. She was charging. Ripped that little woman into pieces. I was like,
no. I've never really been like a physical person, and I think that's partly because when I was a kid, when I was like playing around with my older brother, like he would tap me on the shoulder, for example, but that would annoy me. And so I would hit him. And I never gave you the same level you gave me. I always went up there, just because in addition to doing what you did, I'm now also annoyed or angry or whatever. So like all of my emotion went into that. And apparently I have heavy hands, and that was something that was like repeated to Angel, your hands so heavy. And so for me, I learned, I guess pretty young, not to hit people. Also, when I was in 6th grade, I used to enjoy punching my male friends in the stomach. Don't ask me why. And one of them was like, Angel, that hurts. You know, why you keep doing that? And I was like, does it really? Okay, you punch me then. And he did. And I never hit anyone again after that, because I was like,
that's how it feels.
That's how it feels. Bet I'm not gonna do that again. So since then, I'm not one to hit people, especially not in the face. For some reason, slapping someone in the face, like I can't even visualize me slapping someone in the face successfully, because I feel like if I were to do it, I would be so unsure of myself that I would end up like sliding off the forehead or like missing it somehow. I don't really have that. I would have just been like, and I would have tripped. Something would have happened. They would have seen it coming, and they would have, stopped me. And I would have been embarrassed by that. So I just don't even, just don't bother. But like, I'm not 6'4", right? I'm 5'7", and I'm just a cute Black woman, in my opinion. However, at work, I'm intimidating, and I make people feel frustrated and undermined when they're talking and they hear me sigh. And I'm not exaggerating. This literally was a conversation I had 2 days ago with a coworker, because she'd been holding on to this for like 2 months. She had noticed a pattern of behavior. She's not my manager, right? But she's noticed a pattern of behavior. At first, she thought she was oversensitive, and then she noticed a pattern of behavior. She wants to hash it out with me, okay? And said, yeah, sometimes in meetings, while I'm talking, like you'll have your mic on and I'll hear you sigh. And I just felt like maybe you were exasperated with me, or like, you were just sort of like annoyed with me. I sighed.
Your sigh is
I'm sorry.
powerful.
I sighed.
It's powerful, girl.
And she felt threatened. I'm all the way over here in my home. She's all the way over there in her home. And we are separated not only by our respective computers, but distance. And I sighed, and she felt undermined.
And get used to it, sister. This is the least of your worries.
I mean, that was the first of the 3 incidents that she listed, but that was her starting point. And I was like, you have got to be shitting me. And I wanted to be like, I sighed. Are you fucking kidding me? Is how I wanted to react. Instead, I said, if you hear me typing, I'm just making notes. I just want to make sure I don't misrepresent what you said, and I want to remember it properly. And I was just like, she listed these 3 things, the sighing, and then I asked her a question in front of external stakeholders that she felt was undermining. And then I asked her a question about her work, which she interpreted as negative feedback. And I'm like,
we should focus on her. Maybe at the end of calls, you can go, how do you feel?
Right.
Do you feel okay? Because
she wants me to praise her and kiss her ass. And anything less than that is seen as
to make her feel much more
comfortable.
It's corny.
Let me tell you, she told a story. She told a story, right? Because I said to her, first of all, all of those behaviors that you're describing, first of all, thank you for telling me how you feel. But I just want to say that, sometimes I sigh. Sometimes I don't know what else to say. I mean, it wasn't about you. Sometimes I sigh. I'm a shallow breather. Sometimes I need a deep breath, just as a reminder, just to get the oxygen in my body. About the negative feedback, I never gave you negative feedback. I asked you a question, but you know what? I know what it feels like to create something and have someone not give you praise right away. So I guess going forward, I can try and start with the good stuff, because I do know that I said that it looked good. after I asked you the question that I asked you, because I was just seeking clarification. Then she told me a story, because I said that kind of behavior is really passive aggressive and gross, and I don't do that. Like I'm a direct communicator. If I have a problem with you, I will tell you that I have a problem with you. I'm not gonna God in meetings, like I'm not gonna do that. I didn't say this to her, but like I don't think about her.
And why should you?
Not at all.
I don't think about her. Like when I clock out at 6 p.m., what am I thinking about her for? When I'm at work, I don't think about her unless we have to interact for some reason. Like if we're in a meeting together, okay, there she's thinking about her. But other than that, like I'm not devising how can I undermine this woman today and like get under her brain. And so I said to her, this is not I don't behave this way. I find that behavior quite gross and I wouldn't do that. Never have, never will, just so that you know. And she's like, oh, I didn't mean to accuse you of gross behavior. And I was like, I didn't take it that way, but I'm just letting you know that is not who I am. And then she was like, okay, well, thank you for saying that, because I did think maybe I misinterpreted. It's just that keeps going. You know, I've worked with people before who said that they don't do that kind of gross behavior, but then they did, like unintentionally, for example. And then she tells me a story of someone she was in school with. And she's like, this was a woman I was trying really hard to be friends with. I really made an effort to be friends with her. But every time I spoke to her, she was just like really snappy with me. And like, she just wasn't really, you know, very courteous. And I'm thinking to myself, leave her alone then. Who badgers someone to be their friend?
This something you need to know?
Well, here's why I need to know. Because she said, and then eventually she told me that she wasn't sure if she even really wanted to be in the program. And she was questioning whether it was the right fit for her. And she was feeling frustrated sometimes when other people were doing well in an area she wasn't doing well in. And she found that really difficult and frustrating. And she didn't say that she was talking about me, but I kind of got the impression that she was talking about me. So I'm thinking, are you implying that I don't want to be here? Are you implying that I think you're better than me? Between her and me, she has failed more interviews than I have. She didn't get the interview that I got the first time. She didn't get the interview that I got the second time. And then she's like, so anyway, it sounded very much like she was saying, are you sure you want to be here? Are you sure this is the right fit for you? You know, maybe you're just a little bit self-conscious because I'm doing so much better than you are. But the truth is I'm doing better than she is. So I don't know.
Girl, I'm here for my check and just
are
run
you
me my
HR?
check. I don't
Are you
extra.
Really? That's what I was gonna say. Like, who are you?
Just let me
Why are you
money and go home.
Why is she studying me? Why is she so obsessed with me? I couldn't tell you. But she's like, I just noticed that, you know, since last year, you haven't been as social. I'm like, you started last year. Like, you have no frame of reference for the before. Like,
maybe I'm just not social with you.
And I'm like, all I do is I show up for work. I'm polite to everyone. I'm friendly sometimes, but I'm never rude. I'm always professional. I'm always kind in my interactions. And for some reason, because I ask questions, and she's not the first person who has had issue with me asking questions, I'm seen as somehow an aggressor. And I'm like, bruh, I don't have the energy nor the fuss to give.
Yeah. This is awful. Because I'm like, I think back to a whole coworker of mine.
Sun type?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
She's a social justice warrior.
Oh, that was obvious.
I mean, I didn't want to say it, but yes.
Come on.
Yes.
I had a coworker like on the floor in our thing and be like, I will go to my car and get my gun. And nobody thought she was aggressive. And I'm like, but y'all
what?
think.
Excuse me?
Yes,
someone said that at work and people didn't think she was aggressive?
I will go to my car and bring it. You don't want that with me. This, y'all don't hear this. Y'all don't. And she kept a job. And we was in the federal building. So don't nobody see? Don't y'all see? Like, clear as this stuff is right here. Y'all don't see this? I see this. You don't see this? Oh, okay.
I see
I'm
it.
telling you.
But like,
trip.
So I work with a number of white people. And one of them, we had issues and we've since resolved it because she did the work herself and apologized to me unprompted, right? And she apologized for the right things. And so now we're cool and I don't have any issues with her. But this other woman is one of those she's like a social justice warrior who clings to any identity that is not mainstream. Okay. So, and she advertises it almost. So she's a
Struggle Olympics.
Yes.
She's trying to get that gold medal.
Queer, like a nondescript queer, non-binary, nondescript disabled person.
She got it all.
And when she talks to me, it's like, well, as a disabled person, I da-da-da-da-da. Well, as a queer person, I da-da-da-da-da. Well, as a non-binary person, I da-da-da-da-da. Well, as someone who used to be a sex educator, she was never really a sex educator, I da-da-da-da-da-da.
Why? Girl,
well, as a black person, I trump you, go away.
I almost never say as a black person.
Who does?
I almost
because
I
no
don't
one
like
needs
because
to
no
I
one
don't need
needs
to.
to
Yeah,
say
I don't need
those
to.
things.
You can see that I'm a black person, but like she, there was this one time where, anyway, all of that to say, I don't have any control over how other people see me. And this was the second time in a year working with her, where she revealed to me what she thought of me, right? Because I was existing and she felt threatened. And that happened twice. And like the first time I had to explain to her, look, I ask questions for clarification. I ask questions for better understanding so that I can do my job well. Because if I have an informed picture of what's going on, then I can make good choices. And she was like, yeah, I totally get that. Like, I'm the same. And a year later, she's like, you were someone I really wanted to be friends with. And I really hoped that we would like getting closer. And so when you pulled away from everyone, I thought you wouldn't pull away from me. And I'm like, you have never reached out to me. You have never sent me a message to check on me. Huh?
Where's her narrative coming from?
Her mind.
Her mind.
She created a narrative in her head from that very first sigh. And rather than talk to me about it, because even if she was in her feelings, if she had talked to me about it, that like with that being the only incident, I would have been like, I get it. Sometimes if someone's like, while you're talking, you might feel away. Okay. But I also know that if it was a certain other person in our team who did that, she wouldn't think that. Right? She wouldn't think that this person was exasperated with her. In fact, she probably would have made a joke about it.
I would hope not.
Right? So anyway, I had a meeting with my manager about it and I was like, I don't feel safe. I don't feel comfortable. I feel like I'm being surveilled. I feel like she's acting like she's my manager. And a year ago, you told us we don't report to each other. And I feel very much like she's trying to do something with all of this. Like I've noticed a pattern of behavior, language, and these veiled implications that I don't want to be here. And I got to say, I'm spooked. I'm really uncomfortable. And yeah, I don't think it's fair because I feel like I work really hard and I do my best. So he's going to talk to her and we'll see.
Okay. Well, that's good.
As yet unresolved, but you move through the world and then you discover, you learn that, oh, this is how you see me. Dang.
Hey,
okay.
And people are
Ben and I live in Sweden. We live in Sweden.
Canada, yeah.
Yes,
true.
true.
Canada's like the good version of Sweden.
True.
I live in Toronto though, so it's a lot more diverse than the rest of Canada. So like my manager is a brown guy, which doesn't mean that he's not anti-Black sometimes, but generally speaking, he understands. He and I got into it last year when he also interpreted my questions as this person doesn't want to do their job. But anyway, he also has since apologized and acknowledged that he fucked up.
That's good.
But no, I wanted to say something about what Dee said before about how he moves as a Black man. It's like I've I've had that growing up too. It's just like I know, like one thing I've heard is like, oh yeah, you have a lot of patience. It's like I don't have a choice but to.
Mm.
It's like because I'm a large black man and I know that if I react a certain way, that I'm going to be that the response to me getting upset or reacting a certain way is going to be different than somebody else. It's like so I have to temper myself. I have to, you know, and as Dee said, like I've seen abuse in house, so I know that that's not something that I want to that I think is leave that alone, Daniel. That's not something that I think that is like, oh, that's the go-to for different things. It's like, you know, and I understand, you know, just to hop back to something. It's like I understand. I have guilt of not protecting somebody when they needed my help, and it's some guilt that I carry today. It's like, but that doesn't mean that, you know, my first thought is like, well, because I failed at this, I need to overcorrect and smack somebody in the face or whatever. Which, you know, and you know, just going back to that real quick, it is a thing. It's just like you don't win points for hitting somebody that you know won't get you back. That's not a thing. That's not, you know, it's like you don't get tough points for smacking Chris Rock, a guy who is, you know, like no,
I don't think he thought he would though.
Right, Chris
Smack the Rock.
right. It's like,
Yeah.
you know, or somebody said it's like smack Wesley Snipes. I mean, he's a lot skinnier than what he used to be, but he knows. It's
But
like,
here's
yeah,
the other
you
thing.
trade.
We can't
go ahead.
bring those comparisons in because I don't think Wesley Snipes or The Rock would make that joke.
Right, but no, it's just is
That make a difference.
What I mean is, I think it
go
makes a
after.
difference because it's like if you change variables in the scenario, then it's no longer the same thing.
But he's punching down from a physical standpoint on a small
Okay.
skinny man.
that's my only thing.
And
is
so
like,
what
if
we're
it
talking
was-
about is their physical ability when
Right.
it comes to that.
I
Okay.
will. I'm awful, but I will say I have jumped. You jump on their head, you wrap your legs around their throat.
Hold on, are you
Not that she knows how to do this.
Oh,
Not
we
that
are
she's
not
done
like
it before.
Not from
But she just
experience.
giving you an
No.
example because she
She's
has
heard.
seen lectures
do
on
it.
it.
She's
I'm
heard.
just saying, if
Okay.
a person is bigger than you, I
Okay,
it's not
forget
stopping
the whole
nothing from me
nonviolence.
personally.
want
I
you
am
to go do
5'5".
that.
Okay, first
It
of
has
all, you
never
said you
stopped me.
jump up on his neck and wrap your arms around, legs
My
around
legs
him.
around his neck, and
Let's call it
and
Hurricane
go
Rada.
Are you on a chair?
No, you don't. Like I happened. It has happened.
See,
Younger, of course,
girl,
but
I
What you mean it just
am
happened?
too far away to defend you right now. You've
I-
got to stop this. Shh. I don't know how long the
It's
That's some
statute of
action movie
limitations
shit, man.
are.
That is a
It's
some
wrestling
action
it wasn't
movie.
bullshit. I just want to say that it wasn't me that did the first strike. He had went through a couple of people before I jumped on him. I just want to say that in my defense. He had already
Okay.
allegedly. No, he had beat up a couple of people first before I even.
No, I meant
decided,
for
okay.
you, ma'am.
Mm,
I don't care about him.
All right. Well,
What I will say, Carl, is that like when my coworker was talking to me, I could hear her voice shaking, and because she was like she was very anxious. She was very anxious, and I'm like, I was anxious because I knew going into it, I was like, she told me, I maybe I'm just being oversensitive, but you know, it's been like this since before the holiday, which I think was for her in February. She went away, whatever. And I still feel this way, so I think we need to talk about it. So I'm like, okay, so this is built up emotion now that she's about to unload on me. So I was really anxious about what she was going to say, because she's like, I've been feeling really frustrated, and I'm like, frustrated with me? And she's like, yeah, not in general, just like there have been specific incidents. And I was just like, wait a minute, she's keeping a list. So that's why I was taking notes.
I'm checking them twice.
But when she was talking, her voice was shaking, and I was like, oh, shit, she's gonna cry any second now if I'm not careful. So that's why I was just like, let me just take notes and let me just tell her your feelings are valid. Thank you for sharing them with me. I didn't do those things. And she's like, okay, well, I thought maybe I was she's like, I wasn't sure if I was being oversensitive, but I noticed it. And I thought maybe, but then I thought maybe I was misinterpreting, which seems to be the case. And I was like, I can't tell you how you feel. And I don't feel comfortable telling you whether you misinterpreted something or not, but I can tell you confidently, I didn't do those things. So I was very conscious about like, okay, just get this meeting over with. And she kept going. And I was just like,
this is your coworker, not your boss.
Correct.
Right.
Who I have seniority.
She had a meeting with you.
Yep.
To correct you.
Well, I don't know that she was, well, yes.
To check you, in other words.
That's
it out.
She was checking you.
She wanted to hash that out to see if maybe she was misinterpreting, but she didn't present it like she was, like she thought she was misinterpreting it, right? She presented it like, you did this.
And you spent way too much time on it.
You did it
You would have cut her off so quick.
Listen, I said to her, listen.
Cut her off carefully and quickly. I'd be like, you know what? You know, that's not how I do things. And if you feel uncomfortable, I don't know what you're gonna do about that because I'm gonna be me. And
listen, I was just like, my thing. I went into it at first thinking I would just be like, thank you for sharing your concerns. You've had more time to think about it than me. So I'm going to take some time to process and I'll get back to you. I considered doing that, but then I was just like, you know what? Keep talking. Let me just make these notes. Keep talking. Please say more things that I can report to my manager as you surveilling me and observing me and making me feel uncomfortable in the workplace.
It's like, how much work are you getting done if you're watching me?
What I said to her was like, listen, I don't have this much energy to be doing all of this stuff to you. I was like, I have another job because I'm also a voice actor, which she knows. I'm like, I'm also a member of a volunteer organization and I have a family and a life. Like I don't have time. I'm like, I need energy at the end of the workday to do all of this other stuff. So I'm not going to expend any more energy than I need to do my job well. You know, I'm like, I'm social and I'm friendly and I get the job done. I focus on the work. And then, of course, she was like, well, you know, I was wondering why you weren't so social as you were last year. And and I'm just like,
because being around you is exhausting. Being around you is exhausting.
I couldn't. God, no, I couldn't.
I'm interested to see how it'll work out, how it'll play out next week. But there is a chance I'm getting a new job soon.
Oh, that's a double bonus.
I may not have to deal with her.
That's a double bonus.
Part of your job is not to be her friend. That's the crazy part.
No part of my job is being her friend.
Right. It is not a requirement that you be friends with everyone you work with. The only
she's never tried to be my friend. That's the thing, Carl. She's never made an effort to be my friend.
No, she has, and that's your fault because she's non-binary,
disabled queer person.
Listen, she wanted
non-binary.
She wanted to be like,
she's secretly a Muppet. I don't know.
That's so bad.
She's never messaged me to check up on me. She's never been like, hey, how you doing? Things okay? She's never been like, hey, you want to like meet up for drinks? Hey, you want to like have a happy hour? Never. She
wanted to control the environment by controlling you, little heifer.
She also wants to control the narrative, and I'm telling you now.
And the narrative.
What you should have did was like, well, know what? Until you just messaged me, I forgot that we even worked together.
True.
Like, what's up? I'm sorry.
Well, no, because if I did that, she would have cried.
Yeah.
And once a white woman cries, no matter how else she identifies,
those tears,
it's over.
Because as soon as that happens, then all the other descriptions fade away, and it's just like,
you made her cry.
You made her cry.
And she was
all the way over here.
Okay, now I'm all frustrated again.
Yeah.
That's that. Okay, so we're gonna go into something else right now. This is something that I had read about. This came out a month ago. I was like, but I was like,
but no, I'm so sorry. I have to go. I have to get lunch and stuff and get ready for work. But no, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
How dare you?
How dare you?
All right,
fine. We'll talk about you when you're gone.
I'll still be listening. I just won't be interacting.
All right.
Yeah, make sure you feed Daniel
behind your back.
Yep.
Huh?
Well, no, I will stay on because I will say something in the chat. Don't
Okay.
think that I'm just gonna
All
I'm
right.
just gonna let it go.
All right. Okay.
The
This
chat-
is
Nah.
this was something I heard and I was like, And this is a sense. This to me is sensitive, especially to people with children. So, ears up. You might have heard about it. He said, my wife has a horrible habit that I discovered 2 months ago. Turns out she's been leaving their baby son in the car on his own as she goes to pick up food, run into the post office or the pharmacy. Now, but after one particular incident when he spotted his wife's car in a parking lot, the author had enough. I decided to stop and go and say hi and get some food and pull in and park next to her. However, when I got there, I was furious to find our son in his car seat. The car wasn't even locked, he recounted. So it felt like the last straw. He decided to teach his wife a lesson. The lesson was pretty unconventional, to say the least, and pushed his wife into a meltdown. Now, the question made, did the author go too far? What he did was he took the child out of the car and put him took him and just parked someplace else. Of course, the wife had a frenzy fit when she got back to the car, wondered where the baby was, blah, 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 blah. He came back around and he was there, brought the baby. She's like, oh my God, and got really mad at him and he's like, I have told you a billion times, I don't like, she would leave this kid in the car just to even go out to get some fast food. Oh no, it's okay. We can leave her in the car. And it wasn't like 30 seconds. It was 2 minutes. You're in a store and you leave your child out. Now, the question is, do you think he was wrong in doing what he did?
I mean, if he's told her a million times, like, because anybody else could have come up and taken the child out of the car. What if he wasn't there and some random person that wanted to just take the kid could have just taken the kid? But like literally, that he told her so many times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, look at all
this. The people who have children speak before I speak.
I think what he did was idiotic. He could just report her or deal with it in a different way. But also to sit there and write about it sounds a little controlling. You don't play with stuff when it comes to your kid. There's nothing about teaching someone a lesson who's an adult at the expense of the child. The child's still sitting there watching their mom freak out. You've already caused trauma to the child. Anyone who talks about their child as a pawn with whatever their issues are with the person, that person's a piece of trash. My number one job as a parent, 100%, is to focus on the well-being of my children and make sure that they're okay. Everything else is secondary. Let me read this
before you finish that right there.
Yeah.
Okay. This is part of what he wrote. She told me she does this. She does it to pick up food, run into the post office or pharmacy, etc. I was floored. We don't live in a horrible area, but it's also not super safe either. I told her never to do this again. She told me she told me she never stopped to think about the potential dangers and that she would stop doing it. But she continued to do it.
And get divorced. Ask for custody of the kids. All the stuff
they're married
is still based off of the getting back at a person at the expense of your child.
Yeah.
Those things to me, a lot of those going out of your way to show, you outsmarted the person or whatever, that's ego driven. It has nothing to do with the well-being of your child. If my child's young and being left alone in a car and I pick him up, come with daddy, and then, 5 minutes later see mom screaming and crying, I've already messed up. Irregardless of that, I can get divorced. I can, report her. I can, take her to counseling. I can do whatever. But all those things, like, he didn't teach her a lesson. He traumatized her and the child. Those type of things, and to write about it too, also says it comes from a place of ego that's pointless.
Oh, for sure. Where was this posted?
Actually, at the first time I heard it, it was, I think, on The Real, and and then I found an article on Board Panda.
Oh, because I was wondering if this was in, like, how Reddit has the "Am I the asshole?"
Oh, okay.
Thing. It sounds like something someone would post.
It does.
Yeah, and it says, he said, I think she left She was out. She was away from the car. Now, I agree with everything Dee had said. To me, it did sound like a power thing. And then he goes in detail. He said the fact that he took the baby out the car, he drove to the other side of the gas station, parked and waited for his wife to come out. It took her 6 minutes to appear. And
It's justifying being an asshole.
No. I'm not talking about even what he did. But my thing is
that's scary.
Yeah.
6 minutes is a long time.
6 minutes with a baby in a car.
But I would have waited
he already
next to
knew
her
this.
car.
No. This is despite, even if he didn't do that, even if he just stood there and just waited to see, just like if you were someone, okay, and I'm gonna wait and see how long she's gonna be before she comes out the car, comes out to the, and 6 minutes for a little to leave your child in a car. It's
and that baby is small
in
enough
a gas station. And it wasn't like the car wasn't even locked. I have seen carjackers take cars with kids in them. And and that to me is just like, girl, why even take the chance of leaving your child in the car like that? That's just dangerous. That is just dangerous. Yes, what he did was just the freakish thing I would have ever thought to do. To take the kid and then just like, I'll teach her a lesson. I'm gonna take this kid.
Yeah, I think
I would have. We've had discussions because everybody kind of, even though we align on
climbed on his neck, wrapped her legs around his
shoulders,
face, and then
brought him down by the hair. Just bring the weight. Just pull your weight back. It'll bring him back.
Love you guys. Love you guys. Okay.
I'm joking.
No, I'm just saying. Like, sometimes you disagree. She probably thinks it's fine and it's no big deal. He is like, that is very dangerous. Don't do that. It would have been me had it been my child. I would be like, okay, just know you cannot no longer take our kid anywhere because clearly you've shown me that you're not responsible. You can't. No, I'm not. I don't trust you to take care of the kid and make sure they're safe and return home. Don't take them. You don't take them. No, they can't go. You can babysit at the house. Don't leave my baby. Don't leave the house with me. Don't leave the house without my baby. No, I'm coming with y'all. You know what? Y'all got to go. I'll come. I'll sit right here. I'll stay in the car and you can get out. Because I know how much of a hassle it is to lug a car seat in and out of the store just to do something real quick. Well, I know it sucks. It's a lot. The baby heavy, and I had 2 under 2. I know, but also don't leave your daggone baby in the daggone car. You just don't go to the store. Don't go to the drive-thru if you're not willing to do it. I don't think he should have took a baby because that's when I would have jumped on it. When I found out he was playing, jumped on his head, wrapped my legs around his neck, and went, you don't play with me.
You're the walking meme of I choose violence.
I'm just saying that's what I would have, but I wouldn't. It wouldn't have got that far with me because once I found out that's what you did, I would have been like, well, take my baby nowhere. Okay.
Yeah. Because the woman in this case sounds reckless and irresponsible and dumb, or let me say stupid, but
lazy too.
Pardon?
I said lazy too because it is a lot. It's heavy and it's a lot lazy. Yeah. Lazy.
Basically.
Wait a second. Let's
hold
watch
on.
our words. We'll watch our words because your coworker may be offended by since she's lazy and she's dumb.
She might send a memo talking about she's gonna bring a gun.
However, no. Well, in Canada, that's not so much a thing. I mean, we do have gun violence, but it's not at that level.
Nearly.
No.
Yeah.
But the man, that to me is evil, right? Like there's reckless and irresponsible, and then there's like you made a choice to fuck with her and like use your child, because it's not just her child, it's also your child, to teach her a lesson. Ugh, that's just gross. Like
I would have been distraught. I couldn't even imagine. I have lost my kid, like, when they're little in the store and they go between the little stuff and you like the panic and dread and like, oh my God. And for her to come back and see her baby that can't even walk gone. I
thought it was. I had very mixed feelings about it. I thought it was the most devastating thing that you could possibly do to a person. That's just traumatic.
Because if it goes to a court, though, right? Like if it were to go to a court, and it would be like a custody issue.
They might get the baby.
Neither of them really might be seen as fit, because on the one hand, yes, she made a reckless choice and left the child repeatedly, but on the other hand,
he used it like a weapon.
He's using the child as a weapon and is like making these calculated decisions to be like, I'm going to take the child and like go away and see what she does, and that's not a healthy environment for a child at all.
No.
I've talked to a lot of friends, male and female, who are going through custody issues with their former partner or whatever. And I always tell people the same thing. Don't stoop to their level in any way, shape, or form. Because you know what happens? When the judge has no ammo for you and all the ammo for them, it works in your behalf. And so it actually becomes a situation in where you go above and beyond. I just talked to someone Friday, and I told her, treat this dude like he is a colleague at work. Everything you say, you back it up, you write it down, you do this. Don't have private conversations with him. Don't tell him about your life. Everything is business between you, because when she goes to the hearing in May, they don't have anything on it. Because even being frustrated, which I've been to that point, where you want to respond, you want to show how much power you can exert. That's the dumbest thing you could possibly do. That's when you shut the fuck up and you keep it business.
Yeah.
Because you're not at your goal until you've gone before the judge or mediator or whatever. So you finish those things off and you're good. Yeah, I learned this at a very young age, even before kids, when my ex decided to sneak move out of our apartment. And I happened to overhear when I was stopping by to drop something off when she was talking to her mom. And, people always talk about what they would have done in those situations. She saw her mom, he doesn't know that I'm gonna leave and this, that, and the other. I was doing my second job and full-time in school. I went away from the house without her knowing that I heard that. Went over, put money down on the car. And when she told me the next day and I picked her up from work, I drove over to the dealership. I just got to pick up something real quick. She was like, what? They were like, Mr. Johnson, here's your car. And she was like, when'd you get that? I was like, well, last night you told me you're leaving and taking the car. I've got to work out some stuff. And I kept doing it from I was 23. So, the concept that you're getting back at someone by stooping to their level, people always miss what it is. No, you're now in the dirt with them and there's dirt on you.
This is true. All right. Yep. I'm gonna lighten this up very much so, since it's like 8:45 and we can have some lightening up. And that's because when we lighten things up, we always talk about food. See, smiles. Look at that. And I like these verses or would you rather kind of things. So I was plucking a bunch of them. I have like 4 of them, but I'm gonna just pick one of them right now. And here is a choice. Okay, you have to make a choice of having one or the other. And one is never having anything sweet again or never having anything salty again.
That's an easy one.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet can go.
Yep.
Hi.
I don't know.
Mo and Whitney and Jermaine are having a harder time deciding.
I'm
we're already at the same table. Angelique and I we're over here chilling.
Whitney, what you say?
Oh no, I'm okay. I can give up sweet. I don't like a lot of sweet stuff anyway.
Yeah, she doesn't eat cake.
She
does not count. She does not eat cake.
Keep bringing that up like it's some character flaw.
It's like Monique, she don't eat cake.
I mean, to her,
I mean, Whitney doesn't eat cake, so take whatever
They
she
can't
says with a
let
grain
her
of
eat
salt,
cake.
I guess.
Yeah.
I
No, you have
don't
to
know. I do
choose.
like
Jermaine, you have
savory
to
a little bit
choose.
more than sweet. I think I could actually not have the sweet.
Oh, because I was like, all I thought of was like, do I want a bag of like plain Lay's potato chips or ice cream? And I was like, well, which one?
Why would you say
I would
plain
like-
Lay's potato chips? Why wouldn't you go with like the best
any kind.
kind of Lay's potato chips?
Well, just salty.
Plain Lays are
Yeah,
good
I was just
sometimes.
thinking salty.
I'm not saying no. Oh, but so here's my
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Ice
Salty.
cream,
Mm-hmm.
you would pick the best of each category and then compare them. Don't just say plain old chips and then ice cream.
Well, I
Well,
could have been plain vanilla ice cream.
Yeah, I was going to
'cause
say,
I'm
it could be
not-
like
fine.
vanilla
Yeah.
ice cream.
Okay, fine.
I would
And
say
some
So
feel
Lay's
like
plain
the
vanilla
base-
ice cream versus plain, I mean,
like
Lay's
Lay's
chips.
chips. I like chips.
Yeah, the
I like
chips are over the
Lay's.
plain ice cream.
Look at
Okay, we'll
you.
take. Oh, fine.
What you want, baby? What?
I guess I'm gonna take a bag of tater chips, even though I would
Aw.
prefer to crunch my potato chips up and then sprinkle them on the ice cream and eat it that way,
Hello. There you go.
and have the
See,
best
me and
of
Mo
both
can live
worlds.
together.
Yeah.
Me
Best
and Mo
of
can
both
go
worlds.
deserting. Mhm.
Oh, you like the sweet and salty.
Yeah, I like the
Mhm.
sweet and salty. I like that. My husband,
I do like
he,
that.
he made.
I don't dislike sweet things,
Mhm.
but I prefer savory things. And so if you're
Mhm.
asking me to pick one, it's an easy
So it's gonna be
choice.
that.
Savory,
Plus
yeah.
dessert,
No, he made-
dessert
it was this-
over non-dessert. Come on, I want the actual meal. I'm not worried about dessert.
No, he made.
My dad
today,
has dessert for his meal. Like he'll start with dessert, just
there
so
are
that
people who do that.
he won't be
I know
too
a few people who
full.
do that. They'll eat dessert because they don't want to miss it.
Yeah,
they
he's
think
like,
that
if
might
I'm
miss
too
it.
full after I eat dinner, I won't have dessert, but I
Mhm.
want to have dessert. So he starts with ice cream or whatever.
That's funny.
Okay, here's another one.
He's a grown man. He can do
Uh,
what he wants, I guess.
Which one would you do? Would you rather spend the day with? No. How about this one? You have these are versus a dirty kitchen versus a dirty bathroom.
We've done this one.
A dirty kitchen versus a dirty bathroom?
Yeah. But I don't know if Dee was here. I don't know if everybody was here for it. So let's hear what they say.
Ugh,
It's the disgusting.
both disgusting.
It's
It's
In
just not
your
a part of my
home?
life.
Huh?
I can't.
your
I
home?
can't deal
In
with
your
that. In your
home.
home?
In your
No.
home.
I can't
Oh,
do
okay.
either.
Last time it was somebody else's
Those
home
are
that
the
you
two
were like
places
visiting.
that I can't do. Yeah, I can't do. I remember being over back in my day when I was out there spreading love. Being over.
I'm using that. I'm using that. Thank you, Dee. Let me just take that and put it in my pocket. Thank you so
Yep.
much, sir.
Spread love.
Yeah. I remember being over this young lady's house and going into the bathroom to clean myself up. And it was the most disgusting bathroom I ever been in my entire life. And I actually felt like I would get dirtier cleaning myself up. So then I
Don't
had to
touch
get in my
anything.
car. I had to come up with an immediate excuse. I gotta go cut my grandmother's lawn.
It's
10 o'clock
midnight.
at night.
At 1
Well,
o'clock.
don't you know
Your
midnight?
grandma
Midnight is the
dead?
best time. Midnight's
Grass
actually the
stands
best time to
high
cut the
enough
lawn
at
because
1 a.m.
it's
It stands up higher.
yeah. It's easier to get at the you know
Yep.
the
Yeah.
blades that
The
way.
blade, yeah.
That was the most disgusting I've ever seen. But also when I was a teenager, I used to spend the night over a friend's house, and they had the most disgusting kitchen. The best way to explain it, it felt like chicken grease coated the floor and all the counters. I would be over there for 3 days and not eat a single thing. People were like, he has no appetite.
Not here.
Truly. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I have to opt out on that one because there is no such a thing because you can't eat and you can't use the bathroom. Those things I can't choose between the two.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Either the dirty bathroom,
Yeah.
or the dirty kitchen.
If I have to
Now-
choose one,
Yes.
and it's my home, so we're talking my level of dirty,
Mm-hmm.
then
Okay.
I would choose a dirty kitchen
Mm-hmm.
Only because at this stage in my life, I'm fortunate enough that I can order food.
Mhm.
And I don't have to eat in the kitchen. Like I don't have to use the kitchen. I don't have to. But I can't buy the dirty bathroom.
Mhm.
Because there's too much gross stuff that happens in the bathroom.
In the bathroom.
Like, you need to keep it. You know what I mean? Yeah, obviously both of them should be clean. So don't look at me like that, Dee. But she made us choose one. So I'm gonna
choose one,
the
Dee.
dirty
I'm
kitchen.
not judging, even though my eyes and my side may sound like it. Huh?
I mean, you do sound like you're exasperated with me. Like maybe you're a little bit annoyed with me. Like I heard you sigh.
Maybe we should have a meeting.
I think we need to hash it out.
Because you've been sighing a lot. You've just been sighing entirely too much.
Jermaine's the boss.
At all.
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to figure out what you're drinking there, sir. What's that you got there, sir?
Beer.
Oh, because it's nighttime there.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah,
looks
that's right.
nice.
It's nighttime here.
Oh,
yeah,
it looks nice.
Whitney?
I have ginger beer.
Oh, I want some of that. I'd rather have some ginger beer. Whitney?
I've never.
You just so politely sitting there. Which one?
Whitney's doing 3 things at once.
I know.
Are you sitting on your bed?
Yeah, I'm on my bed. I'm looking at the YouTube. The bathroom has to be clean. It can't be dirty. Can I just like grab a box of cereal and just pour into a cup or something for the kitchen? Because I can't do a dirty kitchen either, but definitely the bathroom has to be.
So you would choose a dirty kitchen over a dirty bathroom.
Look at.
She's like, I don't want.
She doesn't want.
She's not choosing.
But if I have to choose, I will choose the kitchen.
V is in the chat saying this is all making me feel itchy. Well,
V was always cleaning.
Yes, V is constantly cleaning. She cleans as a hobby, so of course she hates this.
But Mo,
I respect that. Today, I'm into organizational stuff. So today, I finally got a tech organizational pack. I've been looking at videos of these for years, but they weren't really over here that much. So when I would look for them, couldn't find them. Found one for $14. Got on my bike, went directly to the store, and then I reorganized my backpack because we live in a city. So feeling very good and organized today. May start organizing the whole house over the next week. Very happy about that. Yeah.
I assembled a shoe. I moved into this apartment a couple of months ago, 3 months ago. And I recently, but I was living in my parents' house for like 2 years. And then before that, I was in Korea. So I had no furniture really, except like the bed that my parents gave me and like this desk, which I bought while I was living at home. Mm-hmm. So I had to like buy a sofa and all of this stuff. So I bought like a side table and a shoe rack and a filing cabinet. So I have to assemble all of these now. So I'm like slowly working through all of the things. So I assembled my shoe rack yesterday, and that felt really good, being able to like put the shoes on the thing and okay, the keys go here and then move it over into the corner.
Small things are the best.
Yeah.
I was telling before you came in the room, my new obsession over the last week or so is they're called multi-tools, where you can have like, you can look up Leatherman, because if you have to put a whole bunch of stuff together, the one thing you'll start getting tired of is trying to figure out where's the tool for this thing right here. Yeah. And
I have a multi-screwdriver.
It's similar to that, except it looks like pliers and a flashlight, and a screwdriver and a
so it's like a Swiss Army knife, but like full size.
Kind of.
It's like a full size. Think of a switchblade. So it looks closed like a switchblade. And when you flip it around, it's pliers, full size pliers. And then out of the side will be like a knife, a saw, bottle opener, Phillips head screwdriver, different size of flathead screwdrivers. And it sounds like not that big, but people swear by these things Like
I believe it.
swear. And I got into it
Saves a
over
lot
the
of
last
space, too.
week and a half. I know, because I was fixing my bathroom the other day, and I had to look for different screwdrivers, kept walking in and out and doing this stuff. And I realized I don't mind fixing stuff. I hate having to look for the correct tool for the thing to do it, because that extends the amount of time. And by that time, I'm not getting that sense of accomplishment that I want to have. I like to stand and look at my work. I look at my children. I'd be like, I did that. That's all me.
Look what I did. I did that.
Look what I did. I did that. But, you know, the concept of being able to not have to go look for stuff and rummage through things to try and figure it out. Plus, my tool game was kind of weak anyway. Very happy about it. Pulled the trigger on it yesterday. Probably have by Tuesday or Wednesday. Don't worry, Jermaine. I'll give you an in-depth video review of it.
Can't wait. I cannot wait, because that is something I anticipate will be the best thing
The greatest.
ever. The
So
greatest thing. Oh my
So
gosh.
happy.
You need to make a whole
So happy.
YouTube thing. I will post it everywhere.
What did you
No,
say I'm
I'm
supposed
not
to
going to make a
Google?
YouTube thing. Leatherman.
Leatherman?
I'm telling you. Yep. Once you see it, it's a wrap. Leatherman multi-tools.
It's a wrap. When I went shopping
Google
with my
it.
dad at
Google it.
I will. I went shopping with my dad at Canadian Tire, like to furnish the place. And I was like, okay, what tools do I need? He's like, you need a hammer, a wrench, and screwdrivers. And so I have those things. And I also have a vice grip just because it came in a kit. But I'm like, I want to drill. I don't intend to drill anything,
Drills are dope.
but I want one.
Drills are really dope now with the batteries, because back in the day you had to plug it in and all this other crap. Now with the batteries, you have a whole bunch of like smaller drill things with a lot of drill bits. Back in the I had to transfer, because my grandparents, I was raised by my grandparents, and my other grandparents will be around. Both my grandfathers, super handy dudes and all this kind of crap. And so I hated that stuff, because they would always have some useless stuff for me to just work for work's sake. And so I associated stuff like drills and things like that. It just bored the crap out of me. Like, why aren't you going out to the shed? I got a job for you. And it'll be a useless job.
Yeah.
But now
they were trying
I
to
look
teach
at
you
the
something.
technology. They were, and I appreciate it now. But now that it's gotten to where the technology has made these things that were really boring before, because you remember back in the day, you'd have like a long cord attached to an extension cord, and they'd have to go up to do that, you know, with this. Like that was the hassle of all these things. But now you can get the little battery, interchangeable batteries, plop it on there. You can get a drill bit that's not overwhelming. There's the joint. I'm telling you. This is where I am. I'll be 47 in a couple of weeks. This is where I am now. This is where my happiness is.
Opening up his toolkit.
Are you about to show it to us? Are you about to show it?
You are not.
I did it wrong.
That's it?
Huh? This is for the backup. No, it's not the tool.
Oh, I'm giving
This is what I got today, the organizer that I got today.
With all the little pockets.
Yes.
Pretty fancy. It's really fancy.
I got my candle here. I got my other stuff here.
Ooh.
And then my other obsession, Lecherman Notebooks. Because I got tired of typing on everything, and my handwriting fell off.
For some
My
reason,
handwriting is trash.
I've been getting it. I like
amazing.
A5 notebooks are like a really good size, and then when they, I think so.
Yep.
They're like about the size of your head. Yeah, and then they have like this thing, and then you can put like a pen in them. I love them. I've got like 4, 5.
Yeah.
For
I was in
different
the
purposes.
pen store yesterday. These pens are these Swedish-made pens called Ballgraph. Jermaine probably know about them. They were the most normal pen for government workers here. Turns out they were so good at engineering, these were actually exceptional pens.
Oh, okay.
For like $3, $4, you can get these pens that feel like heaven to write with.
Okay.
And
so when I send you
they resell them.
flowers, so look, so I'm gonna send you some like sympathy flowers because of all the changes that are happening to your body.
Thank
So then you will have my address.
I'll send
You'll
it to
have
you.
my address, and you can send
I'll
me
send
some
it to you.
pens.
Yeah, these are
Yeah.
you will thank me. Ballpoint pens. They're like known for how perfect they click and all this kind of stuff, but the writing is the most smooth.
Fancy.
I like it.
Yes,
Fancy.
but I want to see your reaction when you look at the Leatherman.
Oh, so should
So
I
I
look
want you
for
to
it now?
Google real quick, so you can
Oh,
just
you-
understand what I'm talking about.
I can't believe you.
This is Black Boy
Happiness.
Joy right here.
This
That
is
Black
truly-
Boy Joy. I love to see it. I love you. Be happy, baby. Let me
All
see
right.
you
Am I
be
specifically
happy. Be
looking for
happy.
like the Leatherman multi-tool?
Multi-tool, yes.
I'm so proud of
Okay.
you, Dee. I'm glad you're getting
Yeah,
toys
be
to play
happy.
with.
I love to
I got
see
my
it.
dog, I got my multi-tools and organizational stuff because I've given up on white people.
I'm done.
Love my wife though. Shout out to my wife.
And with that,
She is the exception to the rule and not the rule. I get it. I understand.
Yep.
I understand.
and with that, I want to thank everybody.
Jermaine, we forgot one thing, the Ukraine
Look at
thing.
Angelique's face.
Oh no, we did not forget that.
Yes, we did.
No, we did
Let me
not.
just say one quick
We
thing
did-
about the Ukraine thing.
We're gonna end
Over
with
here,
that. Really?
they changed the laws when the Syrian conflict was happening,
Oh,
so that
yeah.
it was harder for refugees to get here. The European Union put boats to stop people from coming from Africa during all the conflicts over there. So people were drowning. Kids were drowning there. They were putting dead bodies on there. I feel sorry for them and transfer some money and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
Ukraine gets hit. And again, Ukrainians should be treated like human beings. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the EU. And they're getting on the news talking about they look just like us. And you know what they have now? Free trips all throughout Europe. They changed the laws. So the country that you land in to become a refugee, you're supposed to be stuck in that country. Now you got 90 days to just travel around Europe in your free train ride until you decide that this is the correct place for me. They even went farther. Here, they got a indoor play place for kids. They were like, Ukrainian kids can come here free once a week. We got you. Restaurants giving away free food. But they changed the laws for everybody else. This has nothing to do with the Ukrainians. They should not be living in that hell. And I'm not talking about it from that perspective, but the sheer whiteness of it all, the inability to see yourself in the mirror while the words come out of your mouth.
Painful. Painful. Painful.
Did you see the multi-tool?
Yeah, I've been looking. I was like, do I say anything? He's talking about Ukraine. It sounds pretty.
Go ahead.
Yes, go
Go
ahead and
ahead.
say something because we're gonna end on we're gonna end on you on the
They
multi-tools.
look like a beautiful like lotus flower.
Oh,
Black
Y'all
Boy
Y'all
Joy.
gonna make me go look. I'm not gonna look now.
You should
No.
go look.
No.
It's like they're all like pliers
I
or
look.
vice grips. There's a couple of vice grips in here.
there's some with scissors too.
Yeah. And then it just goes. It's so cool.
Oh, Yeah.
And then they have colors. I could get a green one.
Monique, you are not looking. Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
There's more doing stuff.
Oh, they're cool.
What's going on?
This is cool.
I got the
want
sidekick
one.
one.
Whitney,
Yeah.
you gonna look?
Yeah.
Yes,
Sidekick.
you are. Okay, I'm gonna go look.
I am absolutely looking.
Which one is?
Oh yeah, I
I'm
already looked at
nosy.
it.
What is it called?
They have a
Leatherman.
Leatherman multi-tools. Multi-tools. Oh, sidekick.
All right,
Okay.
we're gonna.
That's like a reasonable,
Ooh.
reasonably
Inexpensive.
priced. Yeah.
I mean, I had to do the PowerPoint presentation for my wife.
Oh.
See? Look at this happiness. Y'all thought I was joking.
Fancy.
Well, there's a blue.
PowerPoint
Well, look at that.
presentation.
Do you see the blue one?
Which one?
It's like
Oh,
this
yeah,
Are there multiple
turquoise.
colors?
It's
Yeah, aqua.
turquoise.
Some of them have
Yeah.
multiple
Aqua.
colors, but not all of them.
Oh yeah.
It's
But
orange.
mine is just silver And these joints will last. They have a lifetime warranty on them. So if it messes up, they immediately, no questions asked. Gotcha.
Oh, that's nice. That's like
see, I have this, but it's
that's
not.
like
I don't know what it's called, but it looks just like this one. And it has a red handle, but it's smaller.
I got this. I said, baby daddy for what? I got this.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah,
what you need them for?
And they got different sizes. They got different sizes ones, like keychain ones, and then they got the regular size ones. Oh, it's the joint.
Jermaine, which one are you looking at?
I don't know. I was scrolling, and there's like this navy blue one.
What's the name?
What's it called?
It says Leatherman.
Squirt?
It says the
Leatherman Squirt?
it doesn't say squirt. Well, does it? It says beginners.
I don't think she's looking at the catalog. I think
no. I'm looking at the Google page, and it just says it's.
Oh no!
Girl,
some
click
of
on
those things
just
are not
click on the link.
Click on Leatherman.
There's no
Actual
link.
Leatherman.
If you're looking on Google, then there's got to be a link. Or
like the actual website for Leatherman.
Oh, okay.
They've got all
Leatherman shop.
Leatherman.com.
Oh,
Leatherman.com.
I like the all blacked out one. I feel.
I would feel like
I'm telling you.
With my black tool.
Multi-tools.
The OHG one looks like a helicopter.
I cannot believe. Okay. Oh.
See?
Spreading joy.
Okay. We need to stop. And with that, we are going to end right here on our Zoom in Comfort. I'm so glad that all of us were here today to talk about all the things we needed to talk about. And we'll be back again next month doing the same thing, just be new topics. And hopefully the old topic that is this month will be dead.
Yes, for the love of God.
And we will move on. But we go in looking at all these
Leatherman
tools
for sponsoring
and Leatherman sponsor. Because we all are now looking at them. So y'all need to sponsor the show now, because we are now looking at your stuff and talking about you for like the last 5 minutes. Especially D. Give him a tool. That's what we want. We want y'all to give D.
I have one on the way. I did my PowerPoint presentation to the wife. And unlike the 98% of the time where she just looks at me, she was like, okay. Because I think she has realized it would benefit her for me to have this multi-tool.
So you can have something to do.
She was okay.
You better fix everything.
That's true.
You better fix everything. I mean, fix fix it expeditiously.
Expeditiously?
Yes.
Or else Mo is going to be coming over there and go wrap
She agreed. Because most of my PowerPoint presentation goes like this. And that's why I should get it. And then I get a look. And I realize I failed.
I can see her look too, like, okay. Yeah, bruh. Yeah, whatever.
You always have to appeal to people's self-interest.
True.
Here's why it would benefit you for me to have this thing that I want.
Thank you.
I'm still working.
Thank you, Angelique. Thank you, Dee. Thank you, Mo. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Kevin, being in the chat, and thank you, Andy. Next time you got to be up in here. But we thank you all for showing up and showing out as usual, and we hope to see you again sometime soon. Okay, take care and see you next month. Bye-bye.
Peace.
We're going to bring the tools. Next time we're going to bring the tools with us.
Exactly.
Show off our tools.
Free P4. Free P4.
All right. We're going to do that.
T4?
P4.
Oh.
P4.
Here's that.
P4.